Ladies and gentlemen, after every season there is the Ballon d'Or. Last season Rodri won it and it was very close with him, Vinny Jr. and I'd put Bellingham in that bracket as well. But today I'm going to be going through my top 30 Ballon d'Or favourites this season, as there's normally 30 nominees. These are the 30 I'd nominate as of now. Obviously, things can change throughout the season. I'm not necessarily predicting that much in this video. I'm just going based off what has happened. And in at number 30, I have Cole Palmer. He had a very strong start to the season. He's likely to win the Conference League and qualify for the Champions League, just based on what's happened so far. And he does still have 20 goal contributions, 14 being goals and 6 being assists in 28 Premier League games. However, I would say his team have let him down, because at the start of the season he was just flying. But yeah, slight drop off. I think that more so is Chelsea's fault than just his. And at 29, I've got Lautaro Martinez. Some people might say it's a bit low, but I think it's fair. He's captaining a league-leading side who were in the quarter-finals of the Champions League, while also contributing 18 goals for Inter this season, 6 of them being in the Champions League. And at number 28 is Victor Gyökeres. I feel like people don't talk about him as often anymore now that Amorim's left, but he still has 51 goals this season and 14 assists in 48 games. That being said, the league is not as good, and he's also playing in the Nations League C, which he is the top scorer for. But just based on those goal contributions alone, I think he deserves a spot in the top 30. And at number 27, I've gone for Michael Olise. At first, I wasn't convinced by him, but now I think we have made a brilliant signing. He's been great this season. Goals, assists, general play, clip farming, if you want to call it that. No, but just some nice dribbles. So I think 27 is fair for him. He's got 27 goal contributions this season, and we all saw his free kick versus Croatia, for those of us who do watch the Nations League. And at 26, I've gone for Vinicius Jr., a very heavily hated player. Not been on the greatest of form as of recent times, however, I think he's still been solid overall throughout the whole season if we look at it as a whole. He's had a good UCL campaign this season, not necessarily versus Atletico, but he has got 9 goal contributions in the Champions League and 29 goal contributions in total, which is only 4 less than his total last season. And he also has that hat-trick versus Dortmund, which, that was a brilliant hat-trick. And at 25, I have Gabriel. You know what, we're not going to say his last name. He's part of arguably the greatest centre-back partnership in world football. You know what, I will say it is the greatest centre-back partnership in world football. He's also part of an Arsenal side that have only conceded 24 in the league, whilst also scoring 5 goals, which is, you know, pretty impressive for a centre-back. Next up, another defender, and it's Jules Koundé. He surprised me. I knew he played as a right-back, but now that I'm watching more La Liga, and he did used to be a centre-back, he surprised me with his attacking capabilities. He actually has 8 assists this season, and I think Barcelona have been great, and he's been great. And speaking of Barcelona's defence, we also have Pau Cubarsí, arguably the best ball-playing defender in the world. Probably Bastoni's on there as well. I don't just mean long balls, I mean balls along the ground. He could play in midfield, honestly. He's actually got a 60% long ball accuracy in the La Liga. And boy, is he going to be a scary player for Barcelona in the years to come, including that other guy they have, who's a very young player, and he's also very good. At number 22, I have got Ryan Gravenberch. I think at the start of the season, he's nailed on for top 10, but I think as the season's gone on, he's tired a little bit. A very smooth player, decently physical, but I think he's been one of the better players in Liverpool's team this year. Unfortunately, they've dropped off that little bit. They're out of every competition except the Premier League now. And I think that has hindered his season a little bit alongside all the other Liverpool players. But 22 is still respectable for a player who didn't even start last year. We've got Gabriel, we've got to get in Saliba. I've mostly just put in Saliba higher than Gabriel because I think he's a better player overall. So I guess he's having a better season. So he's obviously only conceded 24 in the league, but also thought I'd add that Arsenal have only conceded 6 in the Champions League. The only reason Arsenal are second this season, in my opinion, in the Premier League is because of their defence. If they had an okay defence instead of the best, I don't even think they would get top 4. And in at number 20, I've got Bradley Barcola. He is a very entertaining winger. And like many people like to say, football's being saved. Look at this PSG side, so many entertaining players. Not only is he a tricky winger who can play on both sides, but when I was looking at the stats, he's actually got 32 goal contributions this season for PSG, which is very high for a winger of his playstyle. And we talked about a scary Barcelona team. This is certainly a scary PSG team. And at number 19, this might surprise some people, but I think I'll be able to convince you, Erling Haaland. I think most people would assume no Man City players on this list. Done. Haaland is known for his goal scoring. He's second for non-penalty goals in the Premier League this season. So obviously second because of Salah. And he has 36 goals just for City this season. I think that's fair to have him in the top 20. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I think he's been He's been like a shiny turd this season. In a massive pile of shit of Man City, he has been the little corn that sticks out. That is probably the strangest analogy you'll ever hear, but I hope you understand. Number 18 is Federico Valverde. A very consistent performer, never really has a bad game. Whether it's in attack, midfield, or defense, he'll just give you a solid 7 or 8 out of 10 every game. And at number 17, I've gone for Florian Wirtz. Look, he's not going to win the league this season. God, I hope we don't bottle it. It's not going to be as impressive of a season as it was last for Leverkusen, but I still think Wirtz has been great individually. I think he's a great chance creator. I mean, that's why almost every club in the world would take him. That's shown by the fact that Man City want to replace Kevin De Bruyne with Wirtz. And in all competitions, 18 goals, 15 assists. And he's not even a player which I think you should be judging on goal contributions, as I don't think that's his main capability. And that is actually the second most for a player in his position this season. Second to a player who's actually not in this list. I may as well say it, Bruno Fernandes. I just don't think Manchester United have been good enough to warrant. Like, you can't be bottom half of the table and get a Ballon d'Or nomination, in my opinion. And at 16, I have gone for Josko Gvardiol. I'm joking. Gary Neville, what are you on about? I've gone for Omar Marmoush. I think he was absolutely breathtaking for Frankfurt for the first half of the season, or Frankfurt. You know, I got to pronounce it correctly. I mean, this season for club, he's got 24 goals and 13 assists. You guys have seen him in the Prem. I know he's actually only scored 4 goals for Man City, but I think he's been really good down the wing, all through the middle. And that third man run he does works so well. Now at number 15, I've gone for Barella. I feel like there's a really low representation of Serie A players in this list. I don't think this has been the best season for Serie A. I know the title race is close, but you've got Juve who have been not great, and they're in the top 5. Atalanta, I don't think there's any particular standout players. I think Barella is Inter's best player, and like I said with Lautaro Martinez, top of the league, quarterfinals of the Champions League. And also, by the way, don't hate me about what I said about the Serie A. To be honest, I just don't watch it that much. He also has 49 chances created in the Serie A this season, which is the 4th highest out of any player. And at number 14, I've gone for Jamal Musiala. If I could have him at first, I would, but I want to be fair. And I think 14th is fair. You do not need to judge him by his goal contributions. What he gives you is entertainment and getting the ball up the field, whether it be to create a shot chance for himself or for one of his teammates. There was a lot of doubters of him after watching the Celtic game, but I think he showed the whole world what he can do against Leverkusen. I would say he's the best dribbler in the world, and it's even more impressive because he does it through the middle. It's not like he has all that space out wide. And by the way, we might as well mention goal contributions, of which he's got 28 for club and country this season. And at 13th, I've gone for a former Bayern player in Robert Lewandowski. An electric start to the season. He was probably Ballon d'Or favourite for the first 2 months of this season, I would say, until Salah started going crazy in the Premier League. You know, he's still playing smart passes, contributing to the game, getting goals here and there. I don't think he's got a chance of winning it anymore. I'm sorry. He had a very long period of just not performing well throughout this season, but he's still got 37 goals, with 9 being in the Champions League, and he's the top scorer in La Liga. So honestly, he might actually deserve to be higher, but I think this is fair. And at number 12, I've gone for arguably the best all-round striker in the world. I don't know if I agree with that statement I've just said, but you know what, I think he deserves it. A lot of people might think this is very high for him, but he won Newcastle a trophy. They haven't won one in 70 years. They've had great strikers like Alan Shearer and I don't know, I'm not that old. On top of him scoring in that Carabao Cup final, he also has a solid 27 goals for club and country this season. It's been great to see him fit for near enough a whole season. Yeah, you know what, this is too high, I think. But whatever, he's there. And at number 11, I've gone for Vitinha. I can't really speak too much on him because I've only really seen PSG in the Champions League. Well, actually, I've only watched any games of them in the Champions League. I've still seen highlights and all that sort of stuff. I think he's PSG's best midfielder. I think he has great positioning defensively and offensively. He's not necessarily an all-action midfielder, but some games he's deeper, some games he's higher. And I think he has a great eye for a pass. I think if you're the best midfielder for one of the best teams in the world, you should definitely be nominated for the Ballon d'Or. And speaking of one of the best midfielders in the world for one of the best teams in the world, we have Jude Bellingham at 10th. People hate on him for scoring, and then they hate on him for not scoring, because someone on Twitter says he ghosted, and people just believe it. We need to stop this sort of agenda against Bellingham. He contributes in almost every single Madrid game. Despite his height, he is a very good dribbler, and he also has a bit of flair to his game. He had to cover a lot for Vasquez throughout parts of this season because he is absolutely rubbish, which probably hindered him in getting those goal contributions as much as he did last season, even though he still has 23 for Madrid. I think he can dictate play very, very well. Maybe not on the same level as two other players who are going to be coming on this list. Yeah, I honestly think he's underrated by some. Some people are ridiculous and say he's already one of the best of all time, but then there's some who just say he's just a tap-in merchant. Do you actually even watch the games? I can't say I watch all of them, but most of them he's very noticeable. You won't see him ghost very often. And speaking of a player who's very noticeable, Kylian Mbappe. Not as great of a season as many people would have expected from him at Real Madrid, but I think he's the best player in the world. I think he's got the best ability in the world. He's the best talent in the world. So he definitely deserves to be nominated. And he's also not been terrible. Hat-trick against Man City alone almost gets him into this top 10. And out of his 33 goals for Madrid this season, many of them have actually been very impressive, especially his one earlier this morning. Well, last night, I guess, if you're watching this in Europe. He's also top for goal contributions in La Liga, so how much of a flop can he really be? And at number 8, I've gone for Kimmich. Same with Musiala, I'd love to put him first, but I'm going to be fair. I think he's the best defensive midfielder in the world now that Rodri's injured, and honestly, I think he would have given Rodri a run for his money even if he wasn't injured. Completely unrelated, but by the way, if you look at the top 5 goal contribution seasons for defensive midfielders, Kimmich is 3 out of the 5. Just want to point that out there. Anyway, he's been a key player in Vincent Kompany's system, creating almost all the chances for the team. Even though I said Elise gets the assist, he'll be the one to give it to Elise. Even though Jamal Musiala dribbles through 28 people in 2 minutes, Kimmich will be the one to give him the ball. We need a goal in the dying minutes of a game. Who's going to be that one to play across from the edge of the box? Kimmich. Not only this, but he's also been brilliant for Germany in the Nations League. I mean, just watch his games against Italy. He's actually top for goal contributions in the Nations League despite playing right back for Germany. Not even in midfield. He's been playing right back. He's got 7, which is equal with Ronaldo. He's also got the most assists in the Champions League this season, which is 6. I thought he only had 5, but according to Champions League website, he has 6. He also has the most chances created of 35 and the most big chances created of 11. A true leader for Bayern everywhere on the field, and I don't know if you can tell, but I very much like Kimmich, hence why I've talked about him more than any other player. Number 7 is Van Dijk, best defender in the world, one of the best defenders of all time. Don't give me any of that bullshit of, oh, the opponents were harder back in the day. Yeah, maybe when you name strikers, yes, maybe they were better, but that's because people used to play with 2 strikers, and now wingers get more of the goal contributions. I don't know if anyone has noticed that, but it's crazy. Anyway. Second best defence in the Prem, only conceding 27. Most likely going to win the league as the captain of Liverpool, getting his 2nd league title. He makes any centre-back in the world he plays alongside look pretty damn good, and also has to deal with a washed left back and a right back who frequently opts out of defending, and clearly, for most of this season, has had his head in sunny Madrid. Virgil van Dijk, you deserve to be in 7th. And at number 6, I've gone for another Bayern Munich player, and that is Harry Kane. His goals speak for himself, 33 goals in 38 games. Not only this, but he is a great playmaker, registering 10 assists for Bayern this season. I think I would say he's probably the best striker in world football right now. Maybe even at all-round play, I would say he's the best. He's the best footballer to play as a striker. Actually, that's not true because Mbappe plays as a striker. Whatever, I'm waffling. I think you guys will agree Harry Kane deserves to be at least top 10, but I've got him in at 6th. And number 5 is Lamine Yamal. Honestly, this top 5 was very hard to do, and I'm sorry Lamine Yamal, but you're in at 5th. You piss me off because you're one of the first players that has become good that is younger than me. I'm 18 right now, and up until now, there's been no player in the world that has been as good as Lamine Yamal that's been younger than me, and it really puts everything into perspective. You know, I've made a PowerPoint of my Ballon d'Or nominees, and this guy who's younger than me is on there. If you're 30 and watching, I can't believe how many players you have to see that are better than you and younger than you. Anyway, on pure ability, I think he's one of the best players in the world. Probably top 5. I honestly don't see how he can't succeed as a player. He's already this good. Probably the best 17-year-old ever. I know people will say Wayne Rooney, but I don't know. Something different about Yamal. I think he's a bit more of an intelligent player. It's not just that much brute force. And I'm not saying Wayne Rooney wasn't an intelligent player, but honestly, Yamal is better for me. A brilliant playmaker, a brilliant dribbler, and a really good goal scorer. He's also a tricky player with a lot of flair, knows how to beat his man. He's not always the one who scores or assists for Barcelona, but most Barca attacks involve him. Despite not being the one who to always score and assist, he also has 29 goal contributions for Barca this season. I am scared of what he's going to become. I just don't see in the modern game how it's possible for a player to win 8 Ballon d'Ors like how Messi did, or even 5 like Ronaldo did. But I could see him getting 2 or 3 in his career. And at number 4 is Ousmane Dembele. Look, if you're in the comments thinking, how's Dembele above Yamal? You know what, sure, he could be below him. I really don't know. I'd say 3rd and 5th, between 3rd and 5th could be in any order. 1 and 2, you could switch him around, I don't care. But Dembele, what a surprise he is. Ousmane Dembele, in the Big 25, being a goal scorer. What sort of simulation do we live in? Not only does he have his 32 goals and 6 assists for club and country, but he also passes the so-called eye test. Basically, he's an entertaining player. He doesn't just score an assist because, you know, it's more important to entertain the fans than to score an assist and win games. And I think his turn of form almost perfectly lines up with when PSG became good this season. After his red card against Bayern, I'd say that's sort of when the switch happened. Something just started to click at PSG. Maybe it's more games for Desiree Doué, maybe it's them sorting out their midfield, but I think Ousmane Dembele has a massive part to play in it. And look, if PSG go and win something, all I'm saying, Dembele, top 3. But now at top 3, and the first player in the top 3 I've gone for is Pedri. A lot of you are probably watching this going, where's Pedri? Where's Pedri? Where's Pedri? How have you not included him? And now you're probably thinking I've included him too high. I think he is probably the best dictator of play in world football right now. When he goes, if I put my bias aside, because, you know, I love Kimmich. Every Barca game I watch, it's like he's decided what's going to happen. He's got his fingerprints all over everything. I think he could be an all-time great when he retires. We just need to put nostalgia to the side. I genuinely think he could be as good as Iniesta and Xavi. He isn't now. I know that. But I think he could be. And at second, I've gone for Rafinha. Obviously, the other guy's going to be first, but let's quickly talk about Rafinha. He has been extremely consistent throughout this season, popping up with a goal or assist nearly every game for Barcelona. Probably not the best dribbler in the world or the most entertaining player in the world in the games that I've watched, But honestly, just his pure production, ability to get the ball forward, his pace on the break, 45 goal contributions for Barcelona in 42 games, with 16 of them being in the Champions League. He could be on for a record-breaking Champions League season, although it's technically not as impressive because he's going to end up playing a lot more games than like Ronaldo or Lewandowski did when they got their 17-goal Champions League. No, Lewandowski only had 15, but he could have got... Anyway, whatever. Rafinha, you're a brilliant player. I'm sorry that you're not first, but obviously that means I've gone for Mohamed Salah in at first. Look, I said I didn't want to mention predictions too much in this video. I'm just going based off what's happened right now. But as of right now, I would still say Mohamed Salah's had the better season overall. If Barca go on to win the Champions League, sure, Rafinha, you can have it. But if Mohamed Salah, which I think is going to happen, goes on to break the Premier League assist record of 20, I think he's going to get 20, maybe 21, and score like 33 goals in the league, I think you just can't look past a 53, 54, 55 goal/assist Premier League season, like a league campaign, because that is completely and utterly ridiculous. It'll smash the record for goals and assists in a Premier League season. And with that, he'll probably have like a 65 goal contribution season. And again, not everything is about stats, but when the stats are that good, everything's about the stats, in my opinion. I know a lot of people say he's rubbish, he can't dribble. It's just not true. The ball does bounce around a little bit when he dribbles. Yes, I can acknowledge that. But it's not like he just taps the ball in. He can score from close, he can score from far. He's good with penalties. He knows how to find a pass. You know, maybe he's not quite as good as he was in that sort of second, third, fourth month of the Premier League season. He's still the best player in the league, in my opinion. But I remember talking to my friends, and I'm like, okay, good job, Anthony Robinson. You've had a great game against the 10-man Liverpool. You've been the best left-back in the league this season. You stopped Salah from scoring, but what does Salah do? He goes and finds the perfect pass to get the assist. I mean, I guess it still is kind of the case, but if he's not scoring, he's finding the perfect pass for someone else. And can you imagine if he didn't have that absolute donkey Darwin Núñez in attack? I've still got Salah at first, but I'm very flexible with him and Rafinha. I think for Salah to win, he's going to have to break the assist record and get over 30 in the Prem, and Rafinha not to win the Champions League. That's what I think, and I think that is what's going to happen. Because Bayern are going to win the Champions League. No, we're not. We've got Upamecano and Davies injured, so we're definitely going out. Oh, fuck's sake, I can't believe that happened. International break sucks when I'm not watching Kimmich have masterclasses against Italy. Anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed today's video. I only made this because I still couldn't get onto the Ultimate Team servers due to an issue with an Australian internet provider. However, just before I click record on this video, I thought, oh, we'll give it one more go. And it worked. So probably an Ultimate Team video coming tomorrow. Maybe a pack opening, something like that. So stay tuned on the channel. And I haven't mentioned it yet in this video. Maybe I've edited something in. But subscribe to my channel or your house will blow up. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.